How you guys doing?
Good, good. How are you doing? Congrats, you got your mount.
Yeah, I actually got a mount. I'm amazed. Trust me.
That was the last one before you were gonna start, right?
Yeah, that was my last one, and that's usually how it goes. You always get it on the exact last one, so I'm very glad about that.
You have do you have more mounts than Asmon, Annie?
What do you think?
I think yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right.
For now. For now, that's just fine. It's for now. Everything's okay. Like I'll get it as time goes on. Okay, we're on. Everything's good.
Annie's winning on achievements too, right?
Yeah.
Are we just starting with the roasting straight away?
Yeah, we are.
Yeah.
I thought he was at least 32k something, but he's even below that. I'm above 33k.
So wait. How many people are beating you, Annie? Like how close are you to being number one most
Yeah, it's actually a good question.
Period?
I don't know.
Do you know?
Last time I checked, I was around top 80, I think, in the world.
Mm-hmm.
But
So
that's pretty good.
I haven't gained that much since, so it might be top 100. Thing is, once you start getting near all achievements, the ones that are left are really, really grindy, really boring things like 5,000 PvP pit battles.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people that are actually just like win trading for those, to be honest. It's kind of ridiculous, but you know, it is what it is.
Well, here's the strat. I'm pretty sure win trading is against the rules, so you just report them, and then that's one less person on the ladder. And speaking of that, that's probably something that we're going to be talking about on today's episode for sure. Not PvP pet battle ladder. That's not what we're going to be talking about. But we have plenty of stuff to talk about, everybody. We have a bunch of things going on in Classic, whether it's actually what happened with all of the accounts. Also, AQ is going to be on the PTR today. There are a lot of things going on in retail as well with how gearing's working and the fact that there was a forum post that said that there is going to be no cloak catch-up. And of course, our guest, as you have already seen, is going to be Annie, who is one of the best in the world at getting stuff in the game. One of the best completionists in the game. Annie, it's been a long time since we've actually had a chance to talk. I'm really glad that you're here with us.
Thank you. I'm really happy to be here. Really happy to be asked to be here. So thank you.
I'm excited. We also are going to have a bunch of announcements coming out today.
Yes, we are.
One of them I actually don't even think Asmon knows is going to happen today, and I'm not even 100% sure that it is going to happen today. It might be a surprise to all of us. I'm actually texting the people right now to see if we can confirm it. It might be in like an hour or so. Yeah, I actually am not 100% sure if we're going to be able to do it, but I'm pretty sure their announcement is going to happen while we are live with this show. So look forward to that. That would be in around an hour. And it might surprise Zach as well. And then after that, today, Zach, if you do want to let everybody know, because today's episode is going to be a little bit different with everything going on with AQ.
Yeah, so guys, for today, obviously, as I told my stream earlier, you guys probably were here to listen to that, considering I said it 5 minutes ago. But we are going to be continuing the show on my stream after this, because we are doing the opening of the gates of AQ. Now, Blizzard has decided that the event is so important and so impactful that they want to have a stress test for it to make sure that it's not just going to completely blow up the servers. And considering how Battle for Nazjatar blows up the servers when there's 5 people that are interacting with each other, I would consider this to be a necessary evil. So we are going to be doing that, and if you guys want to participate in this with us, if you have the PTR for Classic right now, make a character on the PvE realm, and we will all do it together.
All right.
So that's what's going to fucking happen.
I'm pretty excited for that. I already have everything thing loaded up there as well to jump in on that at the very end of the episode. And then the one other thing before we jump into the episode, I do want to announce that we've been working on this for, it's almost 2 years that I've been working on this project. Asmon, you've been working on it for 6 months, I think it is now, something like that, getting everything set up. But we officially do have our first partner to the podcast. As you can see, it's down there on like the bottom left side of the screen. We've officially partnered with Party, and this is something that we've been talking about for a really long time. We've been hinting that we were going to announce it very soon. And basically the reason why we've been waiting to announce this is because we are like legitimately excited to be working with them, because it's going to help us actually play with you guys. And also they're working with us very hard to create a bunch of different things that we've talked about, whether it is tournaments and all of these things that we've said that we wanted to do with the podcast for such a very long time. These are the folks who are actually helping us do it. I've known Frankie, who actually founded Party for legitimately years now, and the whole idea to Party is actually to create a system for players to be able to find groups, especially with everything going on with WoW right now. It's a completely new way of finding people to play the game with. It's not only exclusive to WoW as well, so we definitely do want you to check it out. They also did have, this was not in the official things that they sent us to show, but I actually like this video a lot, so we can show that at some point during the stream. But yeah, we're very excited to be working with them, and I just wanted to, we've been waiting for this, Asmon, I think for 6 months
for
now.
quite a while. Like ever since we decided that we were going to bring the show back, we talked to the guy that made basically the website and made like the app and has been working on it a lot. And I originally came into it with kind of I was very skeptical about it. And after talking to him and having a conversation about it, I could see where he's coming from. And I do think that it's a noble cause. It's a good idea. And so, yeah, unironic #ad. We actually got our first sponsor. I'm pretty fucking glad about that. So thank you to Party.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
congratulations to you guys.
Yeah, it's also one of those things too where it's like it's not just like finding a sponsor, right? Like it's actually finding someone who's going to help us do all the things that we've wanted to do with the podcast. So we're very excited about this partnership, and also very excited to start this episode. So Annie, let's just dive in with everything and kind of talk about where you stand right now with the current patch, because it's, I think, one of the most unique, whether you like it or not, final patches that we've ever had during an expansion.
So you mean, do you want me to compare it to other final patches, or just how it feels?
Just how you feel with it, how you feel in this final patch.
I think right now, so my general opinion on the whole expansion is that it felt very, bring in a system, didn't really work, add another system, didn't really work, kind of fix those systems, add another system, oh shit, now we're here. And if you look at our gear as well, we have the Azerite gear, which is taking a bunch of slots. And now we have a cloak that's also taking a slot. We have the neck that's also taking a slot. So there's not really that much gear that we're going for. And I think that has led to some problems and made certain things less interesting. I think that's part of why the raid is not so fun, because a lot of the bosses don't give much loot. Like we have some bosses where I can only loot one thing from it. So it's like, what's the point of a raid with so many bosses when like 2 or 3 of them only drops like 1 loot? And well, I think part of that reason is because there's not that many slots where we can get gear on. So that's like part of what I think. I think the whole expansion is very like unplanned in that sense. Having said that, I think right now is the best that it's been ever. I know a lot of people hate corruptions, and I understand that point of view as well, but I do think it's a huge improvement from Titan Forging. And I think it wasn't before the vendor, but I think it is now.
100%.
The problem with the vendor that I see is the rotation, but only because it came this late. I think if it was a rotation from the beginning, it wouldn't have been a big problem. But I think it's a problem now because we don't have that many months left of the expansion. So having to wait for like maybe a month for your corruption to come in feels kind of like pointless, because at that point you might only use it for 1 month and then the expansion might be over. Maybe it's pre-patch time. So that's like my general opinion on it. I think it's a lot better than Titan Forging. We have the sockets as well. At the end of the previous patches, I often felt like I've been unlucky or lucky. Certain patches I was more lucky than others. I don't have sockets like my friends do. Not everything Titan Forged for me. Oh well, it's over. But now, since I've been playing the entire like expansion, I guess, I've had a decent chance at the right item level from the weekly chests, PvP chest as well. So I've been getting my 475 slowly but surely. And now I can actually buy the corruptions and put them on my chest. On my pieces. Having said that, I do think it's terrible for anyone who starts playing now, and that's also why I don't play any alts. Or I do play, I play Warlock and Paladin, so I do have an alt, but it's something that I've played from the beginning.
I feel like there's a lot of people.
Was that too much information?
That's just enough.
Okay. I think we're both going to agree with you on everything, so that's the show. There we go. We did.
Yeah.
We all agree with Annie.
I can
See
go
you guys next time.
Yeah, okay.
They're like, everything that you said, though, I am completely on the same page with you on pretty much everything. Asmon, how do you feel?
I don't like the corruption rotation vendor anyway, but I do think you bring up a really good point that if it was happening ever since the very beginning, people wouldn't have cared that much about it because they would have had like 10 or 20 chances by now to get it. I think it's really just like introducing. This is like one thing I don't like that Blizzard's been doing, and this happened also with Legion with like Paragon boxes, is they have it to where like they make a system and then players interface with the system and they do it a lot, and then once they see engagement with that system go down, then they add in a currency or some form of other like Paragon type progression for it that just keeps players doing it over and over and over. Whereas if they had added it in the beginning, then players could account for that and just kind of stop on their own whim. But I think that having players stop doing it and then introducing a new incentive to make them do the same thing over again that they have been previously doing for no incentive does feel kind of bad. And I don't really know exactly what the solution for that is, but I think that it's probably just better planning and better testing with these systems and making sure that Blizzard listens to what the player feedback is rather than just kind of ignoring it, which is what's happened, I think, with a lot of things.
I have a question for both of you right now.
All right.
Because I actually have been trying to answer this in my head for I don't know how many days. On Tuesday, I guess it started on Tuesday, so it's been 2 days I've been trying to figure this out. I logged in on Tuesday, and I actually had to take a 2-day break from WoW. I've never. It was the first time
question.
This was one of the questions. I also I literally I took I took like 3 showers where I cried. Are you okay? I can't see your face.
I
right
muted
now.
my mic on Discord, so they don't hear. The stream doesn't hear me.
Oh,
no,
on stream you mean?
So I do this thing where like, you know, whenever you drink something, well, I sometimes breathe it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I did one of those.
Wait, how do you describe that?
Well, you breathe the water instead of drinking it.
Yeah, I've been trying to. I actually almost breathed a
Yeah.
bunch of water after Tuesday when I actually opened my chest.
Yeah.
So I totally am on the same page with you.
I tend to say that the water went down the wrong pipe, and then people make fun of how I phrase it.
Well, yeah, because it's like there's like some kind of like fucking vague sexual innuendo. So I just say that I breathe the water because it's funny.
Pipe,
Yeah.
nice.
Okay.
All right, here's my question though. They've officially released the rotation, right? We 100% know the rotation on the vendor. You can completely take out the fact whether or not you like the rotation on the vendor. I think that nobody likes it. I think that that's fine, but we don't even need to discuss that right now, whether it's a good or a bad thing. Let's just look at it this way. We have a rotation right now, and they officially announced what that rotation is. Why didn't we get that the second that the system came out? What is the logic to telling us it's not a random rotation? It's not like, oh, look, oh, mother, you have a surprise for me today. Oh, nice, stepmother. It's nothing like that. They literally told us every single rotation. Why did they not tell us at the very beginning? Why do we have it now? Why did we not have it at the beginning? Was it just to make us log on for a month? I don't understand.
It's to create a false sense of urgency and make players farm more at the beginning, and that way they can't actively plan out what their time is. That way they're stuck on a variable reinforcement reward schedule, which will cause them to log in more often and do more activities.
Do you think it's also for the same reason as we get the weekly Mythic Plus chest at the end of the week? It just makes people more excited as it's about to rotate. Like, okay, which corruptions are going to be up now? I need to go check.
I think that, yeah, I think that's definitely true. Like, the excitement is definitely there. But the problem is that I think that the flip side of that excitement and what really happens is people are just frustrated whenever they don't get what they want.
Yeah.
Yeah, I genuinely...
And I mean, they say that they told us, but considering that we saw now what corruptions came up, we already know, right? Because it's the same as before. So they didn't really give us any information that we didn't know already.
Yeah, everybody knew what was going to happen. I mean, it's kind of weird that they didn't just announce it ahead of time, but I feel like one of the reasons why they didn't do that is because announcing it ahead of time would draw attention to the fact that it is on a rotation. And I don't really see, as I've said this before, like, I don't see any functional reason for it to be on a rotation. I don't think that it adds any gameplay at all. I don't think that it does the game any favors. It doesn't... waiting for a vendor to spawn is not exactly exciting. I don't know what they're thinking with this, honestly.
I completely agree. I don't see any positives with it, honestly, especially the slate into the expansion.
Hey, look, I honestly feel more manipulated by the system than I did by Delphine's content. But thank goodness she's finally back. I hope that maybe WoW has a comeback in some way as well, because as of right now, without seeing improvements to the cloak, I feel like it's not going to happen this expansion. I actually feel like the cloak is one of the biggest problems. Annie, you already mentioned the fact that you're not going to be playing alts.
Yeah, I'm not bothering.
Because you can't. I mean, what would you do without
if
getting
you want each alt is like 50 or 100 hours of time investment, and you're not even doing the fun things. Like back in the day, whenever you want to level an alt, it was like, oh cool, I get to do Karazhan on this new character, and oh cool, I get to do Gruul's Lair, and then I move into SSC, I can do some 5-mans, and it's like you're playing the content that you leveled the alt up to play with. You don't level an alt to do farm for fucking essences and get your Nazjatar reputation up. Nobody gives a fuck about that. You want to level up your alt to do dungeons and raids and PvP in different ways. And Blizzard fundamentally, I think, has created a system that prevents people from doing the thing that they want to do with their alt, and they've put a bunch of roadblocks in the way. And that's what I'm kind of worried about. Like, I mean, you know, we've got covenants coming up in Shadowlands. I think that could be the same thing with them too. And I hope that there's a way for them to fast track that. But the cloak is a good example. Like, before we go into Shadowlands, like, why is it that you can't just get 3 corruption resistance every single time that you do a horrific vision? Like, what is the logical reason for that? Why is this an arbitrary throttling mechanism? Like, how many weeks have we had the cloak? Because you can only get 2 per week, which means that there will be a minimum of probably like a month and a half that you will be behind, and there's nothing that you can do about it.
And at that point, it's probably pre-patch, isn't it?
Yeah. So by the time you catch up, the cloak doesn't matter.
I'm gonna have a very brief meltdown. There have been 2 things that I see a whole bunch. I see the word content with this that's in the game right now, with these systems that's in the game, and I just want to address it very quickly and just say that this is not content. If you think that this is content, you have been completely duped by what it actually is. It is. This is literally there is such little content right now that there is a system in place to drag it out longer. Then the other thing that I see people say a whole bunch is, go figure, when you play the game a whole bunch, you get in a situation like this. And I want to answer right now, that is not what is going on here. I've played this game for 15 years. You know what usually happens at expansions? Even if I wasn't enjoying the expansion, I actually have fun because you can beat the game. And people who usually jump on the bandwagon and go, oh my God, imagine you play so much WoW. You are so wrong, because you've never beaten the game before, which is fine. But when you actually get into the final patch of the expansion, it is a victory lap, and it feels good typically.
Well,
You're able to get full best in slot. Yes, I'm malding. I'm malding. It's totally fine. But the thing is usually what happens at the end of the expansion is you come on, and I remember for me, Cataclysm was one of the expansions that I played the least. I came back in Cataclysm at the very end, and I got everything gear, and I enjoyed the game. I played all these different alts. I got to experience the content, and at a certain point, yes, I did stop playing. But I didn't stop playing out of frustration. I didn't stop playing because the game was telling me not to play or to play in a certain way. I stopped playing because I felt accomplished. I did what I wanted to do, and I didn't unsub or anything like that. I was excited for the new things to come because it felt good. And I agree with some of the things that Annie said about corruptions being really good. Corruptions make me want to play the game. I want a full mastery stack on a mage. I want to feel what it feels like to have that powerful ignite power.
Ignite accidentally kill somebody.
Exactly. I want to experience those things, but there's no content to actually lead to that. Instead, they're sitting and waiting and standing next to Mother, waiting for a rotation and getting 2 malefic cores a week.
Yeah, that waiting system, I think, is what kills it the most. And I think with corruption, the main thing that makes corruption better than title forging, because of now having a vendor, is the ability to aim to have a certain gear set and being able to go for it. Having a best in slot list. Yes, I think that's the main thing that makes me really excited, because if I get a piece of item, I know that I can put a socket on it. I know I can put a corruption on it. So as long as it rolls my correct stats, it's okay. Now it's time for me to grind and work towards it. The last time I had the best in slot gear was probably Dragon Soul, I think. So, yeah, like Cataclysm.
Wow.
I think that was the last time that I had a full set of best in slot gear, the best piece in every slot, and I remember how good it felt. And since then, I mean, Thunder Forging happened, and then other things happened, and then it just, you never really reached a max anymore, and that made me lose interest in mythic raiding, for example.
100%. I mean, like, I got my best in slot in Dragon Soul, and I remember it was like a ring from Altraxian. That was the last raid I ever did. Like, I was like, hey, guys.
I remember the ring from that raid was so rare.
Yep.
Yeah, go ahead.
And
sorry.
I got it, and I was like, I'll see you guys next expansion. And I actually got my best in slot one more time. I actually, I raided the full year of Siege of Orgrimmar. And I got full Mythic Warforged gear. I didn't have Tusk of Manaroth, though. I had everything else besides that. And I felt like a god. But that was after literally a year of farming that raid. And
you had full Warforged?
Yeah, I did.
Jesus, okay.
I was a
I
loser.
definitely did not.
Yeah, I logged on every single week. And I remember the Malkarok necklace was the last thing that I needed on Mythic Warforged. And the moment that I got it, there was actually a small guild meeting of them deciding if maybe they shouldn't give it to me because they knew I would never come back.
And this is actually a really good thing to talk. This is actually a really good thing to talk about.
I never came back.
Dreadsack also said this in chat. A great name, by the way. They used to call me that in college. He said, "You are all wrong. ... You should never be able to get everything you need. ...
Why
Or
not?
you will quit," is what Dreadsack said. And I think that this is actually an opinion that a lot of people have, right? And you kind of hear that with Asmon as well. I personally think that, yes, you might stop playing towards the very end of the expansion, but I think it's not really quitting.
It's better to quit out of victory than out of apathy.
Yeah, because I feel like you're just excited for more content to come back. Like, I don't think it is a bad thing to have that feeling where you can take a break from the game, because I feel like you actually are more likely to play the game longer when there is real content to do instead of dragging it out with fake content. Not being able to get something because it just arbitrarily, it's like a carrot on a stick, but you look and you're like, wait, this carrot's that's a shitty fungus filled carrot. Like, that's a gross carrot.
Well, it's like you realize that the carrot on a stick, like if you go and you bust your ass trying to get this carrot on a stick, you get like one bite out of it, and then eventually like the guy holding the carrot's like, all right, let's just take 10 more of these and throw them at everybody. So it's like you don't really feel good for making progress on a system early. I think this is like one of the things like BC and Vanilla did really well, is that the content early on led into the content later on. So if you did BWL now and you stopped doing BWL, you could still look forward to coming back and playing the game and doing AQ. But the problem now is that every single patch is an effective gear reset for everything. So that means that if you had best in slot gear from Emerald Nightmare, or not Emerald Nightmare, Eternal Palace, it doesn't fucking matter anymore. And especially before that, like imagine having Crucible of Storms gear or having Mythic Jaina gear. Literally nobody cares now. You can get 5-man Mythic gear from that's way better. And I think that's a big issue, is that the gear resets and getting the gear has no real sense of kind of longevity or purpose. The gear doesn't have a purpose. And in Burning Crusade, you want to get tier 4 to get tier 5. You want to get tier 5 to get tier 6. You want to get tier 6 to do Sunwell. But in retail now, that's not the case at all. You just have full gear resets, and I think Blizzard's really shot themselves in the foot. I think they're cutting their own content short by having these catch-up systems that are so powerful that they make the previous raids completely invalid. I mean, like, this is like my own philosophy on the game, but I think that the raids should be relevant for the entire expansion. Like, all raids should be relevant inside of an expansion.
I feel like that has been an even bigger problem in BFA than any other expansion because of these new introduced systems every patch. Like, if you played before the cloak was introduced, you're playing with some kind of thing that gives you no corruption resistance at all. So it's not just the power jump from the item level, which is one of the core issues with making previous content less interesting or less good, but on top of that, we also have these new systems that then start from zero because you have to grind it out. And they've made the cloak a little bit easier to get now. You can complete 1 rank per vision, I think, whereas before there were certain steps that needed like multiple runs to complete
until
quest.
15.
Until 15, yeah. But
Yeah.
from 15, it's still a very slow grind, which is limited by nothing but time. And I think if the cloak had been there from the very beginning, it might not have felt as bad.
Or if they just didn't gate it in the way that you could, right? Like if you could just continue to grind up. But I actually want to jump to something that you said at the very beginning of the show, Annie, and to bounce off of something that Asmon said, because I think that there's a really strong connection between the two ideas that you guys brought up. Asmon was talking about how raiding this time around, how different it actually feels and how it feels worse than ever before. Something that you actually mentioned was the gearing even in Nyalotha, right? Asmon's talking about really the idea of all of the past raids just not mattering because of how strong the resets are. There's like one item that matters. Like everybody in chat's like, yo, dude, you forgot about Font of Power. Nobody forgot about Font of Power. It's literally one item. It's an outlier. Things like that are going to happen.
And it's good. I like that.
And I think Font of Power is not necessarily a bad thing, right?
It's cool.
It's an item that people want to use. Having chase items are cool. I think it's harder to get Font of Power in a weird way, though, because there aren't any other ones, so nobody's really wanting to do EP. But yeah, I think that it's not a bad thing. All in all, Ashvane Trinket somewhat falls into that category as well. I feel like less people go for Ashvanes though than Font of Power. Font of Power feels absolutely necessary. But I want to talk about Nyalotha in particular, because as you mentioned, you start to talk about the ideas that there's like one piece that maybe you even want in Nyalotha. And I actually feel like for most classes, when you actually look at the average piece of gear that you're going for, you're thinking about stat priority more than you're actually going for item level, right? You're in a situation where you're like, oh, okay, I'm going to go for haste crit, so you just get it in Mythic Plus instead of getting it in the raid. So there are like 2 Azerite pieces that you want, and then maybe 1 corrupted piece. Do you feel like that's the issue that you're running into in raids as well, that you're not even prioritizing gear there nearly as much as you would in the past?
Yeah, the raid gear is not interesting at all. I mean, even okay, so I'm not a full-time Mythic raider, so maybe I can't speak entirely, but I think that raiding doesn't give the best gear for most people. The best gear is RNG in the chest every week, because there's such good gear from Mythic Plus, which just doesn't compete with things in raid. I mean, I think there could be, I think the last 2 bosses might be a bit different because of the item level, but I think there's certain pieces, if you want certain 2 stats on them, and potentially maybe some trinkets, the Mythic Plus chest might be a better source than raiding.
Well, the Mythic Plus chest would be fine, except for the fact that it's the literal only way for you to get any gear in the game with that item level. Like, unironically, Titan Forging made the Mythic Plus chest in Legion feel better because there were other ways for you to get the gear. You just have to get really lucky instead of kind of lucky. But with BFA, it's like I have this one chance. I go in and I have this one shot every week to get my best in slot PvP weapon. And my odds are 1 in 100. And you know what? There's 5 different two-handed weapons in BFA. I need one of them, and I've gotten the other 4.
Wait, did you still not get it?
No, I don't have it. Yeah, I don't have it.
Yeah.
I like...
Is there anything that's compatible with it from the raid for you?
I mean, like the Cut of Death is really, really good. I mean, I wouldn't want to change anything up from it. I really, really like using the Cut of Death.
Okay.
It's just like, it's such a weird place to be in though, because like when you actually look at how the chest functions as well, like there's so much currency in it and all these things. Like I've come so close every week to just be like, I'm just not even gonna bother anymore. I just like, it's just such a miserable experience for me every week. I find myself tilting off the face of the earth, when usually, you know, in the past, if a piece didn't drop, I said, okay, it didn't drop, I'll raid again next week. It wasn't that big of a deal. It was a limited loot table. You killed the boss, you get the loot. That's that.
Well, it's
that's
the odds, man. Like, it's the fucking odds.
It's terrible.
Like, you look at the odds, like, okay, wow, like you didn't get Girthlack over Deathwing. That's an 8% chance. There's a good chance it's going to happen next week. What are the odds of you getting a sword? Fucking 0. Like, it's literally closer to 0 than 1. It's just insane.
It's just such a weird I think what Annie brought up about the raid is like one of the most important things
Yeah.
right now that really can't happen in Shadowlands, though, because when you actually look at the optimal way to gear a tune, and obviously some classes are going to be different, but I'll use Hunter as an example right now. If you're a hunter, basically what you're going to want to end up doing is you're gonna spam keys and get as many crit haste pieces as you really can, and then there are some other secondary stats that you might want to weave in depending on your gear. Then you're going to go into raid and you're going to want to take down Skitra, and you're going to try to get your Azerite pieces. And the thing is the Azerite pieces of the last two bosses are really good. Heroic's not really hard, so you just end up pugging it on Heroic. Mythic, those last two bosses are really hard. So what you end up doing is you say, you know what? Fuck it. Like, why am I going to join a guild? Why am I going to try to progress on these last two bosses that are so hard to actually get down on?
Well,
Mythic?
the 475 gear is too easy to get. That's really what it comes down to. Like, just doing a Mythic plus 15 and organizing a Mythic raid team and going into Mythic Nihilotha, like, that's just such a massive difference. And because you're able to get one piece every single week and you also get a 470 from your vision, there's just such a minimal increase that you get for such a massive increase in time investment. So, like, yeah, you get a few more item levels and you get better gear. Undoubtedly, you get better gear overall if you're mythic rating. But the investment is just simply not worth the time. I think that's really what the problem is. Now, hopefully, I don't know, like, Annie, like, after what they've talked about with Shadowlands and, like, the gearing system there and, like, all the changes they've made, how do you feel about Shadowlands in general with that?
I think at the moment, from what I've heard, Shadowlands sounds better.
Yeah.
It's of course hard to say now, but little things like giving us an option for the weekly thing, so you can potentially choose between multiple items. I think that's a huge deal because it decreases the chance of something not being a part of those 3 items or whatever it is. I think if we had that system now, you may have had your weapon by now. I think maybe. Probably not. But I think also Shadowlands testing in general. I don't know if you feel the same about that, but I feel that it's been a lot more communication with Blizzard, even small things like the different interviews with different streamers and things like that, compared to BFA. Like with BFA, we didn't even touch Azerites in the testing until it was basically time for them to be in the game. So Azerites became such a bad system, I think partly because we never got to test them. So then they just assumed that it's good and they weren't listening to anyone.
They're like, they don't understand the way that we do. If they could see it the way that we do, they'll love Azerite. And then it was like, actually...
Yeah.
Well, they actually commented on it, right?
They did.
Basically said, in an I believe it was in the interview with Sloot, I'm 90% sure, they said
Yeah,
the
I think
idea
you're right.
was, they were like, they're not seeing the full Azerite system. They're only seeing the beginning traits that they're going to get, which are obviously worse, and when they see the actual Azerite system, they're going to love it. That was pretty much what they thought. They admitted that was a flaw. I think I hope that they've learned from the lesson, and like Annie, I think you're alluding to, it seems like they did.
That's the thing. So at the moment, I do feel like it feels promising in that sense that they are listening a lot more. Even little things like there was this one change that I had in mind, but it just slipped. I don't remember what it was. But covenants, for example, they said you can't, I think first they said you can't swap, and then they changed it to you can't swap back or something.
It's really hard. I mean, like, you remember did you ever do Hero of Shattrath?
No.
That's good. You have to collect
Okay.
like it's something. So you have to. This is if you want to go from Aldor to Scryers, and you want to go and like gain the favor back.
Oh yeah, I did do that.
Yeah. So you have to turn in how many Basilisk guys?
I didn't understand.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was ridiculous. So I feel like they might do something that's similar to that. I don't know. How do you feel about the Covenant abilities? Because like now, I mean, some people might not understand this, but we're actually getting 2 Covenant abilities. We're getting a baseline Covenant ability that all classes and all specs get, and then we're also getting a class ability that we get. How do you feel about that?
I honestly, I haven't tested that much. I've mostly just been listening and reading about it, so I don't know. I can't give like a perfect opinion on it. I feel like having abilities that are across everyone makes it a little bit less interesting. I think the ones that are specific to classes sounds more fun, but I haven't tested myself, so I don't.
It's pretty. The Night Fae one turns you into a furry, musky husky. You turn into a little fox with a little bushy tail, and you get to run around. And I'm pretty sure that's
I mean, is it
going to
just
be by
cosmetic?
default the right. No, you move faster and you ooh, and you're
Well,
like,
the problem is
you're
like some of
through
the
it. Super
abilities.
cute. It's the default choice is Night Fae now.
But yeah, but the Venthyr, you literally have
sounds
a teleport. You have a fucking teleport, so you can either be a furry or a reaper. Oh wow, what a hard decision. So it's
very hard.
Speaking of furries, did you level your Vipera to 110?
I have not. I've been so ashamed of myself. I haven't even made the character yet. I don't think I haven't even made it. But it will.
It's 10 achievement points, 20 actually.
Yeah,
it's
I know.
It's tough to get past the character selection screen on a Volterra.
Okay. Yeah,
you need to let chat decide your name for you.
Oh yeah, I'm sure they'll love to have a lot of good names for me. I'm sure it's gonna be.
Asmon with hair, low W.
I don't even. I'm thinking about like just hitting 110 on this character and like not even telling anyone. I will just make the character hit 110, get the achievement, and then delete the character and remove all evidence.
That's not fun. Then we can't make fun of you.
Exactly.
I actually like. The Volpira actually do look decent in gear.
They do. They actually do. Like there's been a lot of transmogs I've seen of Volpira that are actually really good.
They're actually way less like all jokes aside. I thought they were going to be. I thought they were going to ruin the game. I actually thought the game was. I thought if Volpira got added into the game was going to be 100% ruined. And I was wrong. Like I was actually wrong. I think that they look pretty decent. The game it got ruined in different ways. It wasn't the Volpira's fault.
Yeah, I mean, the Volpira, it's kind of like a, you know how there's like harbingers of like, Cthulhu and, like the harbingers of N'Zoth?
Yeah.
Like N'Zoth is really the problem. The harbingers are just there to let everybody know about it. I feel like the Volpira are the harbingers and the actual N'Zoth is the corruption vendor rotation. That's really where we're at.
Yeah, I will say, out of the allied races, though, Volpira aren't the ones that I have like the problems with. Like they're at least they're unique, regardless of
the Nightborn are stupid.
Dude, so many of the allied races, I actually think allied races were just like fake content as well in a lot of ways. Like they really weren't that great.
I think that was a money printing machine. Like, hey, $25. There you go. Ooh, all right. There's another race.
Yeah.
Here you go. Come do another one.
Like
wait, how do you pay for allied races?
Say what?
How do you pay for allied races, or what do you mean?
You race change. As soon as they add a new one, people are gonna race change to it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
It's like mechanomes, for example, right?
I was like, did I miss this? I spent time unlocking them.
Well,
okay,
the thing is, like, look at mechanomes, right? You look at mechanomes, and I actually completely hated mechanomes at first, and then Rodarin, for example, in your transmog competition, Asmon, he was a full-on diaper gnome in the onesie, and he was like, oh man, actually sick transmog, but he's still just a gnome, right? Like, why don't you just unlock? I actually would have been fine if you just unlocked some of the cosmetics for a mechanome on gnomes, and you could go to the barbershop and have mechanical arms, for example.
Yeah, I'd love to have that. I think that'd be awesome. Like, unlocking cosmetics, I think, is something that Blizzard really needs to look more into. Like, all these new cosmetic options that they have with, the characters that they're creating, I'd love to see more things that players can actually unlock and allow themselves to use, rather than just things that are just given to everybody, because it just adds, like, another level of things that you can do and that are, like, fun. But I don't know, like, I look at mechanomes and I look at a lot of these other things, and like, yeah, they're basically just like Maghar orcs are orcs, but they're brown and they have 3 different hairstyles and 3 different other tattoo patterns. But to be fair, they look way fucking cooler. Like, there's no way I'd ever make an orc. And then also they have the new racial abilities.
But
like,
but that's the thing.
Yeah.
The racial abilities, and this could have changed now. I agreed. That is the cooler looking orc. Like, it just looks way cooler.
They're just better. They look cooler.
But the racial ability was objectively worse. I'm not sure if that's still the case, if they maybe changed it, but I mean, when you play an orc, you get like, what's it actually called? Is it's blood something? Blood rage. Blood rage. Blood rage. Blood rage is sick. I love having blood rage.
Yeah.
And I like, that's one of the things that is always going to be weird about adding a lot of these different abilities, because even with Sandalari Troll, I mean, some of the things that you get with like Voodoo Shuffle and Berserking are so good, and it's one of the reasons that people will play a troll. And then you go over to Zandalari Troll, and it's like, I think that they're decent now. It looked like they were going to be overpowered at first, but yeah, it is kind of always a weird dynamic that goes on there in the back. Now, I'm curious, Annie, how you feel about this, because it's something that we've talked about on the show for quite a bit. And obviously you're somebody who collects pretty much everything in the game, a true completionist. When you look at other things that you think could be added into the game that you would want to collect, whether it is cosmetic or straight up areas to obtain more power in the game, what do you think some of the blind spots are that you would like to see covered in Shadowlands? Like, what are you hoping to be able to even achieve in that expansion?
Well, I think the thing that Asmon just mentioned now, I think, is a very good point, especially with Shadowlands coming, since I don't know if you guys have been following up with it, but they're adding so many more customization options for things, more hairstyles, more eye colors, and more things like that. So I could see that also becoming content in the game, where you have to do something in the game to unlock those. Other than that, in terms of collection things, I think before adding more things, I think we need to reduce what is in the game. I think we have too many unnecessary toys, pets, and whatnot, which are almost exactly the same, but requires you to spend X amount of more hours just to get the same thing. And I think instead of having so many recolors of all those things, maybe as a blind spot, as you say, maybe customize your mounts. There's the I think it was the PvP mount, the silvery cat with the flag. I forgot what it's called.
The vicious white war saber.
Yes, that one. Like, I think that one looks amazing, but imagine if you could customize it and remove the flag, so it's just a saber. So little things like that, being able to customize how your mount looks to make it more unique to you. Instead of having 10 recolors of the same mount, maybe have like one color of that mount, but different customization to it. Maybe adding armor to it, for example. So that would be like purely cosmetic, I guess. I think also adding tints to existing transmogs. Sometimes you want a specific tint of green, let's say, but you just can't find that right green. Maybe find a way in the game to make it possible to change the color of the existing transmogs.
They have that in other MMORPGs. They have like a dyeing system, right?
I think the reason why they haven't done it in WoW is because like the different colors denote difficulty. But I get that, it makes sense. But especially for like older stuff, it's like you know, you don't do normal Antorus and heroic Antorus. I don't know, it's pretty much the same thing. So you might as well just allow people to recolor that gear. And like adding dyes for at least like older gear, I think would be really cool. I'd love to see things like that, and just like more options for like customizing your gear. And like the mount idea, I love the mount idea. I actually have talked about this before on my stream. Like if each different race had like their own racial mount, so like you know, humans had a horse, orcs had a wolf, trolls had a raptor, etc., and you had like your base mount. And then based off of the accomplishments that you did in the game, you could add armor to it. You could add a flag to it. You could add like, you know, the head of a boss you've killed on the side to it, like The Witcher. And just things like that to make the content more interesting and make it to where people have more customization and control over their own character, where they feel like it's their own.
And the thing is I kind of thought we were going to get a first look at a system like that when they added the Mechagon mount. Right. I think all of us were really excited when we started to see all the stuff that was getting data mined, and that mount, man, that was more disappointing than I was to my parents. That thing blew me away. The lack of content than it actually was. So I think maybe the Mechagon mount showed that they do have a system in place. It was a good idea. Yeah.
It's a good first try, but I want a second try.
Yeah.
I would like a.
On the topic of transmogs, you mentioned how sometimes colors is used to distinguish what difficulty it is.
Yeah.
Well, maybe for different gear, you're meant to do certain content to unlock the different colors. So doing the mythic is specifically to unlock that color tint.
Oh, and like having multiple color tints from those different things. That'd be awesome. I'd love to see that.
Yeah. So then it gives you the tint for that gear type.
Well, hell yeah.
Kind of like artifact weapons, right?
Yeah, like artifacts. Exactly.
And like people knew that. Like if you saw somebody with like, you know, especially the mage tower appearance, I guess that's like a special type of weapon. But even like with the earlier ones and like certain colors, people knew it's like, oh wow, this guy has done this or that or everything.
Exactly, because it is important, I think, to be able to show off your mythic accomplishments by showing off your gear. So unlocking a cool color could be that way, or unlocking a glow. Maybe your shoulders don't glow by default, but if you beat it in mythic, then suddenly your shoulders will start glowing.
Oh man, you're actually that is one of the things I've been begging for such a long time. Like different particle effects and different glows. Like you think about the shoulders in Ulduar for rogues, right? They have the little tentacly boys that kind of like, and then you have the warlock set with the wings, right?
Mm-hmm.
The like those are awesome. Yeah, the old one, and then they added it in Legion again.
Oh yeah, yes.
So the like I actually tend to wear that helmet on most of my characters when I can fit it in with the color scheme that I'm transmogging anyway, because it's such a cool effect and such a unique effect. I feel like the first time that we got one of the kind of particle effects like that again is actually the dragon scale trinket, and I actually wear the dragon scale trinket when I'm running around and I don't care about the content, even if it's not good on the character, because having wings is cool in the game. And I really wish that maybe when you unlocked a piece of gear like that, you were able to get different things like particle effects, unlock different animations, particle effects, and things like that. I think it's a huge place to actually add rewards. And when we're talking about tint, I think, having some ways to unlock tints is kind of cool. But for the most part, what's actually cooler? Unlocking different colors instead of just getting them in a dye system, or unlocking a new color effect, like unlocking a straight up new a new thing that you're actually
well, it's like
able
your
to
Azurite
really
rank
gear
4
with.
essences. That's a good example of it. And like getting your rank 4 essences is cool. I think a lot of people enjoy that. Obviously, it's like some of them are not like super exciting and amazing, but like the CLF, the one where you do Mythic Ashara and you have like your little elemental and then it turns it into a big elemental. That's awesome. And having more different effects like green fire, you've got other things like that. And it's really, really fun. I'd love to see more things like that added into the game and more ways for players to be able to customize their character. Because one problem that I think we have right now is that all of the reward systems in the game are just completely bloated. There's so many things going on.
There's way too much. There's way too much of boring things. Like way too many of the same or similar activities to gain a recolor of something. Way too many of those. Oh, she just yoinked my straw.
But yeah, I would totally agree with that. And you bring up green fire. I've been saying this for such a long time. I think the game would be it would be a completely new, exciting reward system if it would ever be possible. Imagine if the penultimate achievements, whether it's inside of dungeons seasonally, Bwansamdi Key, you're unlocking some undead mummy-ish looking effects, or whether it's inside of the raid and you're actually unlocking like an old god tentacly effect. If you could actually change how your spells do look, I think that even with covenants as well,
like green fire, like
green fire, but you can continue to unlock those, because think about, I know you've played Warlock forever. How exciting was it when you actually got green fire?
It was really cool. I never go back. Whenever I play my alts, I feel like, oh yeah, okay, this is my scrubby character. And then when I'm on green, I'm like, yeah, this is good. This is cool.
Yeah, I mean, imagine if when you killed a mythic boss, like Asmon mentioned, getting the Rocky Boy, right? The rank 4 essence for Ashara. It is a cool cosmetic thing because you're actually changing one of your abilities. And every time you use that ability, you get that feedback loop of, yo, you're awesome. You're a good player. Like just for hitting that button, right? Now imagine if your Shadow Bolt was then infused with whatever boss, and when you take down the old god, you're shooting well, you shouldn't shoot a tentacle out, that'd be kind of weird, but like imagine if it turned into like a different color with a different effect on it. Obviously that's something that would take a lot of effort, but I think that as players we deserve effort like that, and I think we deserve real rewards instead of just reskins of the same gear.
Well, we just want good shit in the game. I mean, that's really all there is to it.
Yeah.
And not too many of the same things. And I mean, in terms of Blizzard wanting to reuse content or things, how about the different models of Shadow Bolt that has ever existed? You get to pick the one that you want it to look like.
Yeah, imagine being able to go back and unlock some of the old effects, right?
What if I want my Chaos Bolt to look like the old Chaos Bolt?
Yeah. Because the old Chaos Bolt looked objectively
huge.
Better. Yeah, it was it was so much. It was a dragon, dude. Like look at this green meatball shit. I'm actually Luigi shooting green fireballs right now, and I think it's funny. I do not think it looks as cool as the old Chaos Bolt did. There were a lot of things like that back in the day. Like I think that the actual model of Lightning Bolt right now does look really good. I think it's clean and it's probably better, but you remember the old Lightning Bolt?
I don't like it, dude. It's too small, man. Like, I like back in the day, you'd see a Lightning Bolt coming at you, it'd be like...
It was like, they were actually balls, dude.
Yeah,
there was like
balls.
A trail of balls.
Now they're just like lightning bullets. I don't know, man. I don't like it as
no,
much.
it's actually a bolt, right? Like it's a lightning bolt.
Lightning bolt.
Like before it was we should actually show it on. I bet a lot of people don't know about it because it hasn't been in the game since.
It's in Classic. I mean, we can see it in Classic right now. I mean, it's
it got an update in Wrath too, right? Like in Wrath, it got an update in Wrath, and then they cycled it out. But it was the same idea. It was a little ball of lightning, but the thing is like with the way that stuff would proc as well, you would just have this perfect, beautiful trail of balls. Oh, dude, can we show it on stream? Oh god,
if you can find a video for it, I'll pull it up.
Okay.
But I want to say one other thing. So the botting issue. So this came out yesterday, and this is actually real news instead of old stuff. Like I mean, Blizzard does seem to be doing something about the bots. Now, Annie, I don't know, on your server, have you noticed any bots anywhere?
Yeah. Well, I think on any server, little things like looking at who's in Stratholme, and you see the same mages, druids, etc. that are always there.
Really dedicated.
Yeah. I mean, it's. I think there is basically a specific way to farm it, and people just multi-box and bot them, and it causes like so many. I don't know. Like I'm actually surprised that they didn't do anything until now, and I wonder if it's because it's a topic that more people like yourself have been talking about, if that's maybe why.
I think that it's like, I mean, like if people, the thing is that Blizzard usually with things like that, they don't do anything about it until a lot of people get pissed off. And recently the botting issue has been something that a lot of people have been mad about. I don't really claim any sort of personal responsibility to this, but I'm just merely one voice in the sea of many other voices of people that are saying, yeah, we don't like this, we want it to change, and this sucks. And I'm happy that they're doing it, but the main concern that I have with the botting is the fact that now those people are just going to make new bots. Because if Blizzard only does a ban wave like every month even, or every 2 months or 6 months, that means that these people are going to be able to make tons of money in the meantime. And that's what I'm really kind of worried about.
Effective.
There was,
and on top of this, they also added the lockout issue, or well, I shouldn't call it an issue. Well, it is an issue, but the new lockout rule of max 30 instances per realm.
Yeah, on Classic.
On Classic, and there is there's many instances where you might actually reach it when you're specifically looking for a rare in an instance, for example, especially because it's on your whole realm. So, what do you guys think about that?
There was actually a really good quote. There was an article written about the topic, and they interviewed a streamer, and he said, dude, ultimately players get fucked.
I can't believe that. So I did an interview for Wired about classic WoW botting, and the takeaway interview, the quote that they used, you know how they like blow up certain quotes in between the paragraphs of like, what is this really trying to say? It's literally me in big bold letters in like 72-point font. The end result is the players are getting fucked. Quote, Asmongold WoW streamer. It was the funniest fucking thing ever.
Accurate representation. I actually screenshotted it, and I'm putting it as the banner on my stream now. Like, hey, come watch. Ultimately, players get fucked. Like,
that's a good way to say it. And like, I don't know. Like, the main concern that I have with like this whole botting situation, especially in Classic, is that there's so much value in gold in Classic that there isn't in retail. So I looked over and I went over to retail, and this is the most poetic thing about this: is if you /who the bot, as in the Botanica. That is where every demon hunter farms. And so I /who'd on Illidan, which is one of the biggest servers. And there are over 50, because you can only /who up to 50 people, over 50 demon hunters in the bots. So I went over there and I saw there were a bunch of demon hunters sitting there on their Traveler's Tundra Mammoths and overlapping each other. It's like literally 50 of them sitting right in front of the instance. And people are saying that Blizzard can't figure this out. Like,
I've seen that in Northrend too. I forgot what instance it was.
Wait, so they actually just spam farm bot and sell items?
And it used to be Halls of Lightning, which is what Annie's bringing up, right?
Oh, is that the one? Okay.
Yeah. Halls of Lightning was a big one, and then also Iron Docks. Apparently, druids are really good at farming Iron Docks because we went over there and there were just druids respawning with the exact same gear on with a bunch of random letters in their name. And I haven't gone over there today. I was going to. I'll do it probably on Saturday, and I won't be surprised if I don't see all of those people that are back at it again. And like, what I'm worried about is that, you know, each of these people inserts like a huge amount of gold into the economy, because these people they're not selling the items they're getting. They're just simply vendoring everything for raw gold. And it's inflating the economy like crazy.
I'm not sure who actually, if any of you guys know much about economics, because I'm not going to claim that I really do. I will straight up say that I don't know very much about economics. But when there's actually a WoW token in the game, and if there are fluctuations, if there is inflation, won't prices actually just move with inflation? Wouldn't botting be less of a problem in retail because of the control that the token has? It's like printing
the token
money
does not create money.
The token acts off of what's already in the economy, right? It's like the whole idea of not being on the gold standard, because like there's nothing to back up the things in the economy. Like the currency in WoW is not backed up by any material, right? It is just an arbitrary number that animals use to barter, right? So when the token actually increases in value, $20 of value in the WoW token changes, and what it can actually achieve in game will change as well. So if constant currency is just printed, it doesn't actually necessarily have an effect as long as the WoW token moves in price as well.
Assuming that people use and buy the WoW token, which is also not necessarily good behavior. And also the gold that's obtained from doing different things in a game is static. And if you use the example or the metaphor of the gold standard, the items themselves are the gold standard and not actually the currency as it is now. We have a fiat currency that happens in WoW, and if anything, the items themselves become the gold currency, and then the gold that is multiplied or added into the economy then makes the individual items worth more or less money. And the problem with that is
it doesn't actually become the gold standard though, because the currency in and of itself is a tool to barter with. And yes, although the things that you're purchasing are there, it's not like X amount of gear backs up X amount of currency.
No, because the difference between what you're saying is like the real life thing is because everything in real life has a variable cost. There's nothing that says a car has to cost any amount of money. There's nothing that says a car is obviously a mount, right? There's nothing that says a haircut costs this amount of money. There's nothing that says going to work is going to give you this much money, right? I mean, like aside from like minimum wage, etc. So the difference between this is that there are fixed valuables in the WoW economy. So the epic mount is a fixed variable for retail WoW, for classic WoW, for example. So, or the long boy is a fixed variable in retail WoW. So if you add in, 100 million gold into the economy, you devalue what the long boy is worth, because that gold is going to be spread across all of the players more often, because those players will then be using that gold to go after different resources. And because the resources have retained their value, then it will continue to inflate the gold and make the gold accomplishments that players have worth less money.
But every fixed variable in the economy is a gold sink that was added by Blizzard at the beginning of the expansion, right? Every like non-fixed variable that does inherently have value, every non-fixed variable will move with inflation.
Yes,
so and like the actual demand for the item with BOEs, which takes more of an effect now than ever before, because BOEs did have so much inherent value, especially with corruptions. But yes, but in a weird way, when you do have fixed valuables inside of a marketplace and you're playing a game like World of Warcraft, isn't the devaluing based off of inflation of those fixed valuables inherently somewhat interesting, because it means over time more people will get their hands on such valuables and be able to achieve it?
Yeah, but it's unintentional, and it's also unhealthy for the economy in general, because it means that the players that are not taking advantage of things like the WoW token will not be able to do certain types of gold farms. So like Annie, I'm sure you probably remember back in the day whenever there was always the, raw gold farming versus like farming stuff that you could buy or like sell on the auction house.
I mean, it's kind of like comparing classic with retail as well, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, in a way.
Like, you can't really raw farm in retail currently because there's nothing really to farm.
Exactly. And there's no raw gold farm that's worth anything, because all the bots do raw gold farming so much better than the players do, and there's so much more of it, that there is no real raw gold farming that you're able to do, except for like maybe a couple of things. Whereas before, that was the mode of gold farming, was raw gold farming. And that's what I kind of worry about.
I think we're actually pretty good economists.
Well, I mean, I can tell you one thing is that the botters are not. And if you let the botters stay around and you let them do it, it's just going to keep getting worse. So I certainly hope that's not going to happen. But yeah. I mean, going back over and talking about Shadowlands, for example, like we have like a number of things like this. And I'm actually kind of curious, Annie, what your take is on this, because it's been something I've been thinking about a lot. Is we've had these changes with the corruption vendor. We've had these announcements with the legendary cloak. How do the changes that you see Blizzard making that, might not really make a lot of sense or do make a lot of sense, like with the vendor, for example, how do those make you feel like going into Shadowlands?
Well, the short answer would be worried,
like
because I wonder why you would make such a decision so far into the expansion when things should be taken a lot less serious and a lot more casually. So because I feel like a lot of these very annoying systems can be justified if it's at the beginning of an expansion, and I feel like it can't be justified when it's so late into it. So having a system like that and Blizzard not changing it gives the impression that they think it's fine to have it, and that can be worrying.
Yeah, it's almost
Did that answer it? I'm not sure.
Kind of, yeah. I don't know. The way I feel about it is like I see all these positive things about Shadowlands. They're like, oh yeah, we're not going to have Titan Forging. We're not going to have War Forging. Let loot be loot. And like all these really good things that make me feel good. And then I see them making these changes in BFA, and it's like, this doesn't make any sense at all. Like what, how is this the same team of people? How are these decisions, like, how did this make any sense? And I'm just like waiting for them to be like, yeah, and your bonus roll coins are from the store in Shadowlands or something fucking stupid. Like it just makes me wait, and I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, it's got to be something coming up here.
I wish they got rid of it.
Did you redeem that mount I gifted you?
He doesn't redeem any of them. Annie, I've gifted him every single.
If somebody gave me cocaine, I wouldn't do it either.
I mean, me neither.
My man. Yeah, no. The thing is when you actually do look, I actually don't even know what I was gonna say. You threw me off, and I like literally, I was like, okay, drugs are bad. What do I say? I was like, what do I say? I'm like, oh, guys, just don't do drugs.
No, I mean, what
storm
thing
melts
that
are bad, dude.
What are you saying, Annie?
Oh, we're having a discussion on store mounts now.
Yeah.
No, I think having these systems so late into the expansion, like feeling like Blizzard thinks it's okay to waste our time and time gate, makes me feel a little bit worried, I guess. But having said that, I do feel that the expansion will, at the moment at least, it seems like it's going to be a bit better because of how much they've been listening.
How do you feel about the
throughout this
zones?
testing.
Just like the aesthetic of it.
I think they're pretty. I like them a lot. Well, except that one. I don't think Maldraxxus is very interesting.
No,
But
yeah,
I love Bastion, for example.
Wait, I agree with you. So I think Maldraxxus is like the most boring zone as well, but I feel like a lot of people do like it, which makes me happy, right? Because if I don't love a zone, but some people do love a zone, that means that it's actually interesting, in my opinion, in a weird way. Like I'd rather,
Oh yeah, for sure.
yeah, I'd rather hate a zone and see somebody else love it than just be like, yeah, that zone's fine, and ultimately forget about it later. You know what I mean? And when I go into the night phase zone, and there are a bunch of like furry Draenei not wearing pants, and you actually suck the souls out of mobs and stuff like that. I'm like, this is my zone. This is like the zone that I want to spend all my time in. I want to join this covenant if I can. I'm very happy about that. And the quests, I will say, I did quite a few quests. The quests, even if they are following the same formula that quests have followed over time, it feels like they have genuine innovation as well. I don't know if you got to do many of the quests, Annie, but sometimes when you are collecting an item, you're literally like, it's like, not only is it like kill 5 of this, it's like when you kill it, you see the soul pop out of it and run towards a certain target. And those little details make it feel very innovative.
What do you think of the death cinematic?
Which one?
Oh, sorry, it's not the cinematic, just the animation. Is it?
You mean like whenever you're dead in Shadowlands? Well, the first thing I tried to do is kill myself twice. Because like, so what happens whenever
you're dead? Did you go further?
No, I just respawned at the graveyard. It was pretty anticlimactic, honestly. It was literally the first thing I did in Shadowlands. I went there, I'm like, what happens if you die whenever you're already dead? Boom, I was dead. And then I'm like, okay, what happens if you die whenever you're already dead, whenever you're already dead? Okay, respawn at the graveyard. Not really quite as exciting as I thought it was going to be. But I really like it. I think the aesthetics for the zones are good. I feel like the zones, like the most unique one is obviously, I don't know, at least from my perspective, is Rivendreth. Like, I love Rivendreth.
Yeah. It's not like personally a style that I like a lot, if you put it like that. But if I look at it, I appreciate it too, because it's so well done, and it gives like the right mood and the right colors, like all of that just going together, and you kind of see it in the transmogs that are in there too.
How do you feel as well? This is something that we haven't really talked about very much on the show, but I think it is something that is palpably important. You know, leveling was very weird when we actually do look at leveling in BFA, but now we're going back to zones that actually do have levels attached to them. It seems like there is a progression where you're moving around from zone to zone to zone as you do level up. How do you feel about the return to zones having a level attached to them?
Is the leveling super strict on them, on the zones?
I think it's pretty strict, yeah. I mean, it's intended for you to go from like one to another to another.
Honestly, I think I like that. I feel like having areas where it feels it's unsafe because you're not the right level yet feels good. I think looking back at the same time, having all the lower level zones kind of be mashed up to where you can level wherever you want. I think that's cool too, because it's old content. But when it's in the expansion itself, I think it feels good that you feel like now you're in the noob zone, and then you're in the slightly more difficult zone, and then you get to the more difficult one.
It's
the
like,
one
all
where,
right, you're a man now. You made it up to
yeah, like
Rivendreth.
you're growing up.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're getting stronger, and the zone that you accidentally took a few steps in and it killed you before is now like much easier because you've become stronger yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I like that more too.
Yeah.
I like it too. But I'm okay with all the old zones kind of becoming like you can, go and level wherever you want. If you're level 10, you're not forced to stay in Elven Forest or Westfall or whatever. You can go to wherever you want to.
I do want to note as well, scaling is not completely gone. So there's no scaling on the first time that you do level, but when you are leveling a second time or thereafter, you will be able to go through the zones in any way that you do want, which does also suggest that there will be scaling, period, right? It suggests that the worlds will still have scaling since they like they have since Legion, I believe, is the first time that worlds saw scaling, correct? So that seems like it still is going to be the case.
Yeah, which I'm completely fine with. And
yeah, I'm okay with that too.
Yeah. Before we get into the questions, because obviously we're going to try to end it a little bit earlier today because of the AQ event that's happening actually almost in a half hour.
Yeah.
Annie, is there anything... Yeah, Annie, is there anything that you want to talk about on the show or you want to bring up and let the audience know about or you think they should know about?
I think they should know that you need to work harder on your achievements.
Casual. You're casual.
All right, Rich, let's go to the questions. Go to the questions, Rich.
Okay, first question. Why does Annie have so many more achievement points than Asmon?
Good question.
Oh, wait, did Asmon actually get up? Okay, Annie, would you like to talk about how much better you are than
So I have this shirt here. It says Mount Collector on it.
Oh, that's cool.
I was gonna give it to Asmon, but now I'm not sure anymore. Do you think the size would fit him?
Is it an extra small?
Yes.
Yeah, it might be a little bit big, but it should fit him.
I think it should fit him, right?
Yeah,
but
yeah.
Does he deserve it though?
Yeah. I mean, he has literally one shirt that he's been wearing for 4 years. I think if any of us have any extra cloth, we should always throw it his way.
So he deserves it for lack of clothing and not excessive mounts.
Yeah, he just deserves it because he just needs a new shirt. Where I literally just went to search for the hashtag ALLCRAFT, which you guys can use to actually submit questions right now. And when I went in, I still had, for some reason, Belle Delphine in my search bar. I don't know why.
Belle Delphine in your search bar, Rich?
Yeah, I don't know why she's. I don't know what's going on. I think this phone's bugging out.
Yeah, it must be broken.
I know. I can name a few things there. Okay, latest. There we go. Are you excited that oh my gosh, no. Are you excited that Single-Minded Fury is coming back in Shadowlands, or will you stick to Titan's Grip? Asmon, I'm pretty sure that one's directed towards you.
Yeah, I'm not a warrior.
What do you mean? Like, here's the thing, right? I said this yesterday whenever it got announced. I think it's great they're bringing back Single-Minded Fury. A lot of people that have been playing this game for, 10, 15 years, they started off as older teenagers or maybe young adults. Now they're getting into their 30s, their 40s, starting to experience some erectile dysfunction, some low T, and I'm just glad that there's a play style that fits that.
Yep.
We're sticking with Titan's Grip.
Yep. You can enjoy Single-Minded Fury with your hairline down to your eyebrows and no testosterone pumping through your veins. That's right. Titan's Grip, dual wielding. That's for the boys.
Yeah.
We talked about dual wielding, I'm pretty sure. Oh no, that was on SBN stream. We talked about dual.
Yeah, we did. We sure did.
This is actually a very interesting question. This is from Joel. He said, why are the Tortolan Seeker world quests so stupid? Why do all the world quests feel so empty? And do you think they'll put the same curse word in Shadowlands? And I think that is a very interesting idea, because there has been a theme in world quests for quite some time that there is one faction that has like mini game
they got the stupid quests. It's like you had the Kirin Tor, and now we've got the Tortolan. I'll give an unpopular opinion, maybe. I like it. I like the stupid little quests. They're completely optional. Yeah, they're completely fine.
I was gonna say the same.
Annie, let me
I
ask
would rather
you.
do that than kill 5 mobs.
Yeah, well, I don't know if that'd be easy. I'd love that. It's more
can I-
like,
I
you
mean-
have to kill 8 mobs, you have to kill 3 of these guys, rescue 4 prisoners, and loot 3 items. It's like, okay, yeah, right. Nobody's ever gonna do that one. I didn't like how in Legion, one thing I would love to do, doing a world quest in one pull. Like, that was like, I remember the world quests in Stormheim were so fucking easy, and you could just go and do an entire world quest in one pull, and you would feel so good about that. And like the Tortollan world quest, like I create like a meta out of it. So whenever I have the one where you're the crab and you kill the baby turtles, I do it to where I get every single baby turtle and I never get hit by the little thing.
So here's
Yeah.
well,
took
I
it
actually
seriously.
It becomes
I-
like a
I
small
don't-
little challenge.
I don't
Yeah.
know if you guys know this, but I actually have the world record right now for Collector Kojo for the fastest time.
That's not true.
Yes, it is.
How do you know?
It's actually true because we timed it. We checked to see if anyone else beat it, and I'm the only one holding the record right
All right,
now.
let
So
me know
nobody
what the
can beat
time
me.
is.
Oh, you actually want to try to go toe to toe with me?
Yeah.
All right. 22 seconds.
Okay.
See if you can beat it.
All right.
No one cares. I do. So here's the deal though.
Okay.
I think I like Collector Kojo. That's actually one of the mini games that I do like. I liked the turtle had made it to the water quest, but now it bored me because of the amount of time that it takes. When you looked at what happened in Legion, remember the ones where you had to do like the little patterns that you had to fly and touch the crystal? Once you got flying, you could just do them really easy. Right?
I love
You
that,
didn't really
dude. I
need
felt
to
like
beat
I
them
was cheating. It was great.
I think that they should have, like, if they're going to have the mini games are really cool at first, and then over time they do get
Have
kind
it
of
where you
annoying.
can actually
They get
just
a
bring
little
your
bit tedious.
character in, and like you just see the turtle that comes out and spawn, just fucking kill him right there.
Yeah.
That'd be
At a
great.
certain point, I think that they should just make it so the actual mini games you can just blast through because you've already kind of done it. Or if there was a rotation and new mini games were added, maybe every 3 or 4 months, or like with every major patch or something like that. I don't think that it's terrible to have mini games, but at a certain point, I think it is understandable that some people just want to play WoW to actually play WoW. But I do think that it adds like a fresh element. There are mini games in pretty much every type of game that's existed, and some of them even go on to be complete games. Pokemon Snap coming back feels good, man. Only waited 20 years for
What do
that
you think
one.
of Candy Crush in
Uh,
Nagitar?
I love it.
It was the best part of Nagitar, honestly.
Yeah,
it was the
I
only
liked
part
it a
that
lot.
actually worked.
I like it too.
Yeah.
And it's one of those that I still like. It's still like the quests that I would prefer to do because they're fast as well.
Yeah, the little untangle your rope thing as well. I thought was a really good.
Oh, the ley
minigame.
lines. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
ley lines.
Mhm,
I like that one. But you know, Nagitar. Those are actually my favorite things about Nagitar because they worked. How do you guys feel about hidden PvP scaling? It really bothers me that I am not actually hitting people for the numbers I see, and we talked about that recently.
Yeah, nobody likes that stupid ass shit.
Yeah, I don't like it.
Yeah, exactly.
Is it still scaled in the outside world? I remember in
course it
Legion.
is.
It is. Okay.
Of course it is. Yeah.
I remember in Legion when they added that thing where the mobs scale and become stronger according to what gear you have.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's
Rich. Apparently the PTRs are getting full. We gotta. Let's do one more, man.
The PvP server. The PvP server is the only one that's up right now.
I know. I'm on right now.
I'm already in Silly Tits.
That's a
waiting.
good idea. I am too. Annie, are you gonna come and do the PTR event?
I'll join you guys.
Sure.
Dude,
Cool,
it's
cool.
crazy
It's
right now.
it's one
fucking
PTR,
insane.
right? EU and NA.
It's not.
yeah.
It's already not working.
Yeah.
It's awesome. It's actually good.
Rich, you want to do one more question and then
It's
we'll.
already
we'll
not
get started?
working. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man. Oh wait. Let me actually check one thing. I'm gonna ask
Okay.
a question, then I'm gonna check because we might have an announcement that we can actually make right now because I'm pretty sure it was supposed to go live right now. How do you think Blizzard could go about keeping raids relevant throughout an entire expansion? Is it what character are you on right now?
I'll message you.
Okay.
Okay.
But yeah, how do you think that they can make raids?
Don't
relevant
make
to the
catch-up
entire-
mechanisms that invalidate every other previous part of the expansion. Also, make LFR gear not scale up, and don't scale up Mythic Dungeon gear either. That way, people actually have progress and do things in the expansion. Like that's the way I think they should do it.
Yeah, the main issue is the item level jump, right? And
Mm-hmm.
with that, you need to LFR shouldn't even give anything. Or it should be the same item level as the previous content, I think.
Yeah.
I think that LFR should be a scenario instead of a it should be like it should be like a different scenario where you go in and maybe there's like one piece of loot or something like that that's not really a big deal, but it's actually different content, so it doesn't feel like you're just invalidating the fact that you actually like need to go into a raid, for example.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that 100%.
Yo, it's live. Wait, I think they announced it 40 minutes ago. Have you announced that you're
the Twitch Rivals thing?
Yeah, wait, did you already announce it?
Yeah.
Oh.
Did we plan that we were going to announce it on ALLCRAFT?
No, but they said that we couldn't talk about it until 3 minutes ago. I didn't know that you already announced it. But they told me.
Oh, he mentioned it 3 minutes ago. It's okay.
I thought that would be a fun announcement.
Hey, yo, they said Thursday, man. They said Thursday.
Oh, wait, maybe I'm not allowed to talk about it yet. Maybe we were supposed to announce at different times. Wait, I don't know if they tweeted. Hi guys, I'm casting it. Did you say already?
I didn't say that. I just said I'm in it. Okay.
Yeah, I'm casting it too. We're just trolling.
Yeah, all right. This is LeakCraft
Nice.
now. Formerly CallCraft, formerly ALLCRAFT, currently LeakCraft. Yes,
well,
yes, that's
it's
right.
It's gonna be happening. I was really excited. I'm not sure if we're supposed to announce it, but yeah, I get to. I'm not gonna announce who I'm casting with. If I messed up, I messed up. Asmon's gonna be competing. It's gonna be really fun.
Hey, yo,
and,
they told me Thursday. I was like, they're like, do you want to announce it on Thursday? I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll announce it on Thursday, and I'm pretty sure it's Thursday, so I didn't do nothing wrong.
I'm very excited for it. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
It's Friday in Sweden.
Oh wow!
There we go.
How about
We're just operating off of Swedish time. They said
Swedish time. It's almost Friday. 30 minutes.
Yeah. They told me a particular time on like the atomic clock that I wasn't allowed to say anything to. But I'm pretty sure we're past that time. I'm pretty sure it's fine. It's all good. It's all good. I'm obviously very excited about it. I mentioned it at the very beginning of the episode. Another thing that I'm very excited about as well is the fact that we finally do have a partner that we've been waiting for a very long time to have. Guys, I also will send Asmon. I put a link to the video that I really liked for one of their announcements. And then also, I do want to put our link to the site in as well, so people can actually check it out.
Okay.
And we can put that in the chat. But yeah, guys, we mentioned it at the beginning of the show.
That's fine with me. Or just give it to like Tyrion or somebody else link it.
Yeah, I'll message it to Tyrion right now. But yeah, so basically, guys, Party, the whole reason that we wanted to partner with them for the show is because they're actually going to it's a platform that actually helps make groups, helps you find people to play the game with. Not only World of Warcraft, it's a completely different way of doing it as well. It's more based off of playing the game than creating arbitrary numbers, rating you as a player, for example. And it's going to help us also create a bunch of different things that we wanted to do, like tournaments. So we definitely want you to check that out. We're very excited, and there's a reason that they are the first partner that we are working with. We've been working on this for months, and we're excited to finally share that we are going to be partnering with you.
I'm very excited. And Annie, thanks a lot for joining us on the show.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, it's going to be a little bit shorter today because we've got the event coming up. I am so fucking excited for this. Oh my god. And actually, I don't even know why I'm excited, because I'm on the PTR right now and everybody's running in place. So I don't know really what's going to go on. But yeah, if you want to come and join us on, maybe like Rich, do you want to get in your Discord? And we can all just get in your Discord?
Yeah. Sounds like a plan. Cool. And then towards like the end of the night, like if it completely crashes or anything like that, maybe we can try to do a couple viewer call-ins.
Yeah, we can do like your after show. Exactly. That's what I thought.
Yeah. And I think for a while, it's just going to be us running in place, talking about how cool it is. One of the things that I also think is cool right now, oh my God, I just got invited to a group by Amaranth.
Oh my God.
You're in, man.
Wait, I'm whispering.
Congratulations.
Hey, my phone number. Oh my God, guys, thank you for another incredible episode of ALLCRAFT. Could not be excited to get to check out AQ right now on the PTR, but Annie, it truly was a blast to have you on.
Can I say one last thing?
Yeah.
A minute. Apparently, Asmon was AFK when this happened, so I just wanted to show off this shirt. It says it's an achievement on it, Mount Collector, and Asmon, if you want it, extra small fits here, right? You first got to up your mount game, and then we can consider it.
All right. We'll see. I'll try to earn it then. Okay, thank you. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, that was the one from Wowhead. Didn't they make this?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember seeing that a long time ago. I'm surprised it's still. I didn't know if it was actually going to happen. Yeah, thank you. I'll have to start farming.
They had it for a short time, and then there was like licensing stuff going on, so it's not sold anymore.
Not
but there's some copies out there.
All right. Well, at least we have one. That's good enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you very much for being part of it.
Thank you very much for inviting me, guys.
All right. Well, anyway,
definitely want to get to talk to you more about stuff as more stuff gets announced as well. And it's always nice to have somebody on the show who actually has a lot of achievement points. So thank you very much. Finally, we get the opinion of somebody with a lot of achievement points.
Thank you.
All right. So we'll go.
Do I say bye here or?
Yeah. We'll say bye.
Okay.
And then we'll join. We can join my Discord, Annie. I'll link you to my Discord. I'll whisper it to you. But yeah. All right, everybody. Thanks for an episode of ALLCRAFT. Tyrion's putting everything with Annie socials into the chat right now. He's linking the Discord as well for when we do the viewer call-ins. And Tyrion, if you could also drop that link for party so all of you guys can check that out as well. Thank you all very much, and we'll see you at AQ.
Yep. Anyway, guys, thanks a lot for coming on, and I am gonna go get ready and wait to just lag out and have a great time. Thanks a lot for coming on, Annie. I really appreciate it, guys. Link her socials.
Thank you very much.
I will see you guys later.
Yeah. See ya. Bye bye.